I'll be talking to one of the brilliant guys who teaches SAT in Tashkent. And in fact, he runs his own school alongside his friend. And you guys probably have heard about this guy a lot. You guys probably must have seen him on social media. He's been on several podcasts and he's got a good track record.
I like having new experiences,
Right.
yes, but I don't like having expectations for the new experiences because it will turn out, to some extent, intervene with the process moment.
You were saying it's not safe being the
It's
son
not,
of a
yes,
governor.
yes.
So you mean like the kind of an enemy thing?
Yes.
Someone might kidnap you and use you
Yeah, it
as a,
might.
as a bait or use you to blackmail your dad.
So when I went to the university, they called me, hey, someone paid on behalf of you. You can start your studies because I applied there.
How big do you think is the market for SAT right now? I think there's a lot of demand. I mean, I can speak for Bukhara, and market is just at its infancy.
When it comes to percentage, right ratio, when we compare the, let's say, 70% of DTM, let's say 70 maximum score that you can get in DTM is 189, right? And 70% is something like 146 or something like that. And it's very good score. Very good score. You have to work for it. You cannot just go get into, DTM and get 140, right? But when we compare 70% of XCT, it's 1200. And it's 1200, is it way more possible to make it?
I heard you're the only SAT school in Uzbekistan, if not Central Asia, with their own online platform for testing. Is that true? So you guys came up with something called BlueBook. So that's your creation. That's your school's product.
But even if that person did something even bad for me, betrayed me, I try to understand them. Okay, what happened? If I were in your place, maybe I will do the same, because the things that led you to do this is not easy, and I didn't have it, and no one who is judging you have it. So therefore, they don't know you.
Oh my God! I hope this podcast won't get taken down because I said that. Can you cut it, please? We're gonna get strike. We're gonna get on blacklist of YouTube. I don't want that. That was an accident. All right. Hey folks, hey everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Astra Muse. I'm your host, Muhammad Ali here. Today, I'll be talking to one of the brilliant guys who teaches SAT in Tashkent. And in fact, he runs his own school alongside his friend. And you guys probably have heard about this guy a lot. You guys probably must have seen him on social media. He's been on several podcasts and he's got a good track record. And I am very excited to be talking to him today. And if you guys would like to find out about him, about SAT, about all kinds of different things, please keep watching. Now it's time to meet our guest, Mr. Asadbek Urakov. Mr. Asadbek.
Hello. First of all, I wanted to thank for you to have, for me to have an experience of a guest in the podcast is, very first time, to be honest. I was the host in several podcasts in Unlock, and we used to talk about missions and a lot of stuff about personality of people who got into the top schools and that people dream of, right? Yeah, and it's very first time to be a guest in the podcast. And I hope that, I don't know how it will be, but we will see. Okay.
Do you like having new experiences?
I like having new experiences,
Right.
yes, but I don't like having expectations for the new experiences because it will turn out, to some extent, intervene with the process moment.
Right. I mean, if it makes you feel any better, no expectations, zero. So this podcast is, like I said before the shoot, it's chill, it's laid back, right? If you ever want to take a break, you can at any point in the podcast, right?
Yeah.
Right. So no pressure, honestly.
Thank you so much.
Right. Would you like to tell our audience a little about yourself?
So, my name is Asadbek, and this, when I'm talking about myself, it reminds me of the fact that I introduce myself in the classroom when I have new students, right? And I tell quirky things about me, interesting things about me that they think that am I psychopath or something like that because of the different things that I have experienced and so on. So my name is Asadbek. I am a I don't know, simple person who likes to live in this world, and I enjoy every single day of my life. And we run SATashkent in Tashkent that teaches SAT, and we have a community that we're proud of. And yep, and I don't know, we're trying to some extent make the world better place in the way that we think we're doing right. Yeah, this is a little bit about me. I don't like to stick to the facts. I don't like to stick to the some statistics about the person because it to some extent will not show the behind the scenes. So it doesn't show the soul of a person, right? Let's say IELTS, something like that, ACT, something like that, money, something like that. So if metric is on the description of a person, I don't think it's a good start. So therefore, I like to be I like to be shown here as a person.
Right, right. So you don't want to be perceived certain way because of the things you've done in the past, or because of how much you make, or because of not necessarily how many people you've helped, but just for being a modest, average human being.
Yes.
Right.
People who know me, and I think I'm a nice person for them too. I mean, I don't hurt them.
Yeah.
I sometimes might offend them, but it's for their good.
Yeah, right. Would you like to talk a little about your past? Right, what do you say we spare a moment or two talking about you in your hometown? Because I heard you grew up in Kashkadarya, right? You're originally from Kashkadarya. So what was it like growing up in Kashkadarya?
I am originally from Kashkadarya, and the fact is I haven't been in Kashkadarya for 3 years now. Even though most of my relatives live there. I studied at the ordinary public school that doesn't have, I mean, anything special except the Russian language that was only in town. So I studied in the place that teaches only Russian. And I grew up in the family of, people who work in politics, governor of a place. And my childhood was full of experiences, even though I lived, I think, in a well-to-do family, right? In a family that had almost everything. I had challenges. I would say I had emotional challenges. I had physical challenges. And after I graduated school, I moved to Tashkent to start something new. I didn't even know what is it. And then after some time working there and here, we launched our project. We did not launch SAT Tashkent, right? We launched SAT classes.
Right.
And then small step, compounded became SAT Tashkent.
A quick follow-up on something you said about growing up in an affluent family, right? People have this perception that kids born to rich families, they're set for life, right? They don't ever have to go through anything in life, right? So, but you're saying that it's not exactly like that. You're saying that despite the fact that you were brought up in a well-off family, you had your share of challenges in life, right? So was it like by design, your parents made conscious effort to set up those challenges on your ways to mold you, to shape your character? Well, would you like to talk about that as well?
I don't think so. My parents were acting in the way that everyone would for their children. They wanted me to have everything that I wanted, for me to not struggle, to not have anything problematic with my life. And I have four brothers. I mean, we are 5 kids in the family, and I have 3 brothers and 1 sister. And 2 of my brothers had the best of their lives because my dad was in his prime in that moment. And they lived to some extent more comfortable life than I did. Because of that, they have, I think it's my opinion that they have to some extent struggled with making something by themselves, right? Yes, they live a very good life, but they have a very good potential to be better than they are right now. When it comes to me and my older brother, who is 3 years older than me, we had a bit problematic lifestyle because of the shifts in our lifestyle. I lived away from my family. I think that was one of the reasons that I had exposure to new things, different things. I lived in a different town than my parents did because of the school that I didn't want to change. I went to the Russian school, and my parents moved to other city, and I didn't want to go to that city to study. And then my dad told me, find a home for you and find house. Where would you stay? And I said, I don't know, but I will find. And then I tried to call different people, my friends. I stayed in my friend's house for 1 month in the other town, and my friend's dad said that we cannot, to some extent, make you a living here because of different purposes. It might be financial, it might be some of the problems with the government too, because my dad worked as a gardener there and moved to other city, and my dad said that I might have some people who can hurt you. Therefore, he would not let me go there back.
You were saying it's not safe being the
It's
son
not,
of a governor?
yes.
So you got, so you mean like the kind of an enemy thing?
Yes.
Wow.
And my friend's dad said that we cannot, to some extent, I cannot guarantee your safety here.
So you're like, someone might kidnap you and use you
Yeah, it might be.
as a bait, or use you to blackmail your dad. Right. Wow. That's some deep stuff there. I was honestly expecting that.
I didn't really care about those things, to be honest.
How old were you at the time?
It was in 2016, and I think I was 15. Yes,
Yeah,
I was 15
at the time.
And
does it, I think it makes us the same age. You're 25, right? 25, 26?
So let me calculate. I'm not good at math. So I was born in 2003.
2003.
And when I was 8th grade, I was moving. So it is, 2018? Something like that.
Oh, okay, no.
2017, yes.
A few years younger than me. So you said you were 15 in 2016. I was 15 in 2016, so I thought we're peers. I thought we were the same age.
So I think 2017, I was 8th grade, and that would be, I don't know, how old were
I? 15? 15. You were 2003, right?
Yes.
So you were born in 2003, so that's, I think it's 15.
Yeah. 15. And I didn't want to go to to the new school. I don't know, because of I like the school community. I liked my friends. I had plans with my friends, so therefore I didn't want to go. And my director of the school, principal of the school, still praises me with that. He didn't want to leave the school even though his parents moved. And yeah, she used to say it in every single group gatherings. And then I called my principal, and I asked, to be honest, I was a 15-year-old guy, and I asked my principal, can I stay at your house? And she said, let me talk to my son, and I'll get you back. And after 30 to 40 minutes, I think, we got a response, and she said, let's do it.
She was okay with you going over, staying there,
because she liked me in the way that I studied in her school. Yeah.
I mean, were you comfortable staying over in stranger's house?
I was not, but the goal that I wanted to stay at my school overshadowed every single problem that I had there.
Right. So you were that obsessed with your school. What was so special about the school? It's just the community, your friends, your buddies there?
So it was the school that I was me. There was no pressure. I would love studying there. I love teachers there. I love people there, and I was 100% me there. And I hadn't. I wouldn't have to some extent, pretend as someone there. And it was 100% comfortable place for me. And to some extent, it was a heaven life for me back then.
So you felt you were in your own element.
Yes.
Like That's your community. That's your
And I
folks.
had that to some extent. I mean, I had my place at school. Everyone knew me. Everyone would, to some extent, show respect, and I showed respect them too. So it was that kind of environment, and I didn't want to exchange it for something else there.
Right, but you must have known at the time that eventually you'd have to move on. You'd have to move on to the next thing, high school, right, and then university.
I graduated that school.
Uh huh.
So I went to my principal's house 8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
I lived there 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
and I graduated my school, and I came to Tashkent.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
that was the thing.
So, and your arrival in Tashkent must have marked the beginning of your prep for university, or were you prepping for your uni exams while you were in that Russian school?
So the thing what happened, my dad got ill in 2021, and it was by the time my graduation
Mm-hmm.
of school, and he called me to come to Kashkadaria, and I went there. We had days of, together,
Mm-hmm.
and he suddenly passed away
Oh,
from
I'm so sorry.
from I don't know, unknown reasons, to
Mm-hmm.
be honest. It might be because of some of the things, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I wanted to study abroad before that,
Mm-hmm.
because we had money, we had everything. I had means to study
Mm-hmm.
abroad. And my plans got turned out to be 100% different.
Mm-hmm.
I needed money
Mm-hmm.
after that, because my parents would, to some extent, spend money on the treatment of my dad 2 weeks before he is death.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've almost spent a lot of money, and we had to make our lives right. My brothers worked, but they had their families
Mm-hmm.
to feed. So therefore, me and my older brother, we came to Tashkent. He was in Tashkent working. I was not working anywhere, and the the idea that I needed money came when I asked my mom. I wanted to study SAT,
Mm-hmm.
so can we?
Mm-hmm.
And for the first time, she said, "Not now. We cannot do it right now. Let's do it a bit later."
Mm-hmm.
So that was, turning point for me to realize that I would not be able to do the things right now as I did before. And I looked for the job, and I had no idea that I'm going to study at university, and that would be abroad. So I did not expect it because of one, I didn't have money, and it was like emotional, I don't know, problem for me and for my family. And I gave up on, to some extent, studying history that I was preparing to the university. And then um, I at that moment when I had IELTS, right, it was new for me. I had IELTS, and I applied to 13 schools in Uzbekistan, universities, and it's easy to get into universities, right? Most
Yeah.
of them. And I got in them all, and my school posted about it. Simply like, our student gone into this and this and this and this. And that went to a garment,
Mm-hmm.
and that went into the Kashkadaria's garment. That's one big province of Uzbekistan, right? And at that moment, I was trying to look for the job. I applied to internation. I applied to the place that I studied IELTS, and my teacher did not advise me to go there because of different problems. He said that it will not be very good choice. You know Russian, you know English, you're good, you're young. You can go to internation in Cambridge, and I applied there. Internation did not hire me because of a lot of candidates applying there, because I was coming from the outskirts of Uzbekistan. I didn't have a bunch of social skills, and I didn't have teaching experience any.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't even call me to the demo class.
Mm-hmm.
It was just send the resume, send the resume, send the resume. And then out of nowhere, I've seen on the Cambridge just channel that they're calling for an internship. And I applied there, and I got an interview, and it was like I had no choice other than that, and I tried to work to the Cambridge to get a job, right? I had 2 months till I had to enroll at the university, right? It was July, something like that. And I got into internship. And the surprising thing about this was they didn't pay money for that internship, but I needed money. I could have worked somewhere else, but I don't know why, but I have stayed there because of, I don't know, environment, because of how I wanted to work there. It's a, I mean, privilege to work at a top company in Uzbekistan in terms of education, right? As a person who comes from the outskirts of Uzbekistan. And then um, after 1 month of working, we used it to work a lot. It was like a competition, capitalism, right? 20 people got into internship, and several of them, few of them, two of them would be hired after 1 month. So you had to show yourself throughout 1 month. I didn't have any skills, but I was there from 9 to 11. I went there in the morning 9 and came back 11, and I was working through a whole day on that project. I would do anything that I could do, and there I understood that um, if you put hard work into something, you can make it. You can make it, no matter your background, no matter something. If you are consistent enough, and if you have a very good patience, right? You can do no matter what.
So you got selected.
I got selected. They didn't tell me I got selected. After 1 month, they gave me a salary. It was my very first 2.5 million sums, and I went home. I was very happy at that moment. I was happy and I was sad because 2.5 million were not enough for my, I mean, university studies. I wanted to study somewhere in Uzbekistan out of those 13 schools, but I was happy because I got money, and I gave to my mom part of it, and said that it's my very first salary, get it. And that was one of my happiest days. And then so I didn't have much money to study at university, right? But those 13 schools that school announced it went to government, and governor of Kashkadere called me one day, and he said, hey, no, his secretary said, like, governor wants you to meet, so therefore can you come to Kashkadere in 2 days? And I was like, no, I cannot. Why? Because I might lose my job that I got barely. And if I ask them day off, they would simply fire me. And I worked for it so much. And they said, okay. And my parents called me and asked me, hey, are you stupid? Why you denied? Why you rejected? And I said, I worked for this job a lot, and I cannot simply take a day off, because it would be something terrible from my end. Something like not taking the responsibility of working, right? And then after which my parents said that, hey, we will ask your job. You have to come, because it's not given to anyone, and not much people, right? Governor calls a student, and to some extent, yeah. And they asked the day off, but yeah, the job said okay, and I went to Kashkadaria and I met him, and he said, which school you wanted to study out of them? And I said, one of them, let's say it was Cambridge International College by that time. And he said, do you want us to cover your tuition? And that was to some extent, the question that I had. I wanted to say yes from all of my heart, because I wanted to study. I was working for this. But I said no. I don't know why, but I said no. I don't want it. I will make it by myself. And
So you had
they said okay. They said okay, but they sent the money to university. So when I went to the university, they called me. Hey, someone paid on behalf of you. You can start your studies, because I applied there. And then that was my, I don't know. There I was to some extent successful for myself, because I was studying at university. I had money. I had job, and I was living in Tashkent. I was making something. And after that, when I covered all of my first, I mean, what expenses, right? Basic expenses, I started worrying about my future. And after that, I studied SAT. and this is how we ended up on SAT.
So you started going to that college,
Yes.
Cambridge
Yes.
College.
I studied there for 1 year and then dropped out.
Well, why would you do that? I mean, no offense though, you have a little bit of that arrogance in you. You realize that, don't you? Because the governor calls you and say, "No, I'm busy, sorry," or they pay your tuition. You study there for about a year or so, and you drop out.
Maybe, but
Is that because you have
the reason I
different
said
expectations
no,
of yourself?
yeah, the reason I said no because I mean, if someone wanted to help me, I would say no.
Uh-huh.
And I believe that I can make it. I don't want other to burden or to put a burden on them.
Mm-hmm.
To I don't know why I say no.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if they really pressure me, let's do it. I can say yes, let's do it. But how can I, to some extent, pay you off?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I give them something and I get them something,
Right.
or I give, yeah. But when it comes to I give them something, I don't ask any things.
In return, right? So you felt indebted to your government. You felt like you owed money to them if you kept going to that university, and you didn't like being indebted to someone.
Yes, and
You wanted that
I think it
freedom.
was because of my dad worked there.
Mm-hmm.
He knew my dad.
Mm-hmm.
They were friends,
Mm-hmm.
and he wanted to cover my expenses.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I didn't make it. I felt like I didn't make it. My dad make it for
Mm-hmm.
me, so therefore I didn't really want it to do it.
Oh, I see.
But I really wanted to do it. But at the same time, I didn't want to do it.
Mm-hmm. So you're just trying to prove yourself you can do it
Yes.
without help.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's interesting. I mean, that's a lot to take in. That's a lot to take in. Your journey, growing up, it's really tough when you lose your dad at a young age, and then you're on your own and got to figure things out. And all of a sudden, you find yourself in a big city competing for a job with a bunch of other people you don't know in a place you've never seen before.
Yes.
Figuring all that out must have been real head spinner, right?
But I see a great improvement there.
Uh-huh.
So if I look at my
Uh-huh.
progress over the years,
Mhm.
the big improvement is there.
Right.
The leap
Right.
is there.
Let's talk about your SAT journey a little as well.
Mhm.
So you said your SAT journey took off when you dropped out of college, right? And how
No.
did it start?
So when I got my IELTS before graduating school, it
Uh-huh.
was April 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I wanted to study abroad there before losing my dad. And I knew about SAT there. I wanted to study there, but I said that let's graduate first, and then I will study. I knew that I would take gap year because I technically got a gap year because I knew about studying abroad after let's say the months before my graduation. So that was technically a gap year, but I didn't know that I got a gap year because I saw that after you finish 11th grade, you go to school and you apply. And then I said, let me graduate. I graduated, but things got bad. I mean, family circumstances, my dad's situation, everyone, and I didn't have any means to study SAT. I tried to study self-study. I covered books. I did some of the things, but it was not something like that. I had no idea of what is SAT, so therefore it was difficult for me to pick the materials, so on and so. But I tried to do this. But then when I got the job, when I got the money, when I got everything, I started going to the SAT classes, and I studied there for 2 months, and I got my SAT. And so the thing about SAT, we had to take it in Kazakhstan in December 2021. And we went to Kazakhstan. It was my very first time going abroad. And then at that moment, I got SAT, and with my friend, brother, and life coach, I would say, Asadbek, we started in 2022 January when I had my very first SAT, which was 1300, 66 English, 64 math. So it was something even lower than our average student right now. So we started our journey of teaching SAT. He would teach math because he had a very deep experience in math.
So when you
Profound
say
experience.
Sohrab, are you talking about that guy from Samarkand?
No, Sohrab is he is from Bukhara. He is my friend, brother, and business partner. We run the business together.
Is it one of the guys who showed up here right now?
No.
He's not here today.
He had a wedding yesterday, so
He's
he
the
is
one who got
busy right
married.
now.
Right.
He might be busy right now.
Yeah. He is the one who got married,
Yes.
right? I'd love to have him on the podcast too, right? Anyway, you can link
Yes,
us up,
yes.
right?
He is a very philosophical person. He is
Yeah.
27 years old right
Yeah.
now, and he would share a lot too.
I'd love to have him on the show, right?
He might come.
Yeah.
I mean, this week or next week,
Cool.
based on his
Awesome.
availability.
You see, you hear that, Mr. Abdul Malik? We got another guest coming in next weekend. All right. Can you check the cameras, make sure they're rolling? Because sometimes this guy drops the ball and
Yeah. How's it going?
it's all going good, right? Yeah, it's going great.
So yeah.
Anyway, right back to your SAT stories. So you started teaching SAT after you took your first SAT, which was 1300, right?
Yes.
And that's how it got started. So where were you working? Did you work at someone else's school? You guys
No.
founded your school right off the bat.
I was working at Cambridge at that moment as a teacher, right? And I took my SAT. I got my SAT, and we wanted to start SAT classes. But the thing that I had problem with me was if I gave up my job, I wouldn't have anyone to feed me, and I wouldn't have money. And I thought about it. Should I give up my job and start something new that I didn't know the future, or I have to keep up? And that was a very tough decision. I started working on 2 jobs at the same time. In the mornings, I would work at Cambridge, and in the afternoons, I would teach SAT here on our own project. And then after some things got heated, I mean, we had some experiences. We wanted to do it, and because of Sohrabaka's, I mean, advice and his confidence in our project, I said, "Let's go, let's do it." And I gave up my job at Cambridge, and I worked full time on SATashkent from the morning till evening. I didn't have anything to do, not university, nothing else. I was just eating, working, eating, working, eating, working. That's it.
I forgot to mention sleep.
Yeah,
Sleep is important, buddy.
Yeah,
It's very important.
we would sleep randomly. I mean, in the center too, or at home. So
Right.
sleep was part of it.
Right. And how long did it take you before your project took off? Before you guys had your first success? Or before you realized that you'd made it? Or before you could finally, sit and catch your breath and say, yes, we did it.
So what happened? We didn't have any students believing in us at first because we didn't have much SEC compared to the market. Market offered higher scores, but we were not achieving that score by ourselves first, and therefore we, to some extent, tried to give them a scholarship, full scholarship for studying SET for free for 3 months.
So basically, you taught students for free
Yes.
for 3 months.
Yes.
How many students did you have at the time?
So we called for a mock test first. 20 students appeared. Out of them, 3 agreed to study for free.
They didn't even
But
want the free education.
No, they didn't.
Right.
And then we worked with those 3 students, and they got scores that they wanted, but it was not that high. We didn't make even 1400 at that moment. It was 1330, 13 something like that. But we were happy that we got very first results, and we didn't teach them for money, right? And yeah, everyone was okay with it.
I mean, if
So
you
win-win
guys
situation.
weren't making any money, how'd you pay your bills?
So what happened? Sohrabaka sold his house for the project, right? And part of it he invested on the project, and we were getting money out from this to eat, to have our daily expenses.
Wow.
So that was it. Like, we had the money, we didn't want to run this money out, and we would take less and less and less, but we didn't make any money. And then we had our individual classes with students, And then I think our very first success of our student number, if we calculate about numbers, it was June 2022, because we gathered our very first group who could pay money, and that was a very new, experience for me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was June 2022.
22.
And then in August we had our very first results, 1460.
Mm-hmm.
In December 2022 we had 1500.
Mm-hmm.
And then after March, digital ACT came,
Mm-hmm.
and then we had our 1500s on May,
Mm-hmm.
June,
Mm-hmm.
and when the cycle.
And the rest is history.
Yes,
Fast forward to 2024, you are one of the biggest SAT schools in Uzbekistan, right?
maybe.
Well, right. And how big do you think is the market for SAT right now? I think there's a lot of demand. I mean, I can speak for Bukhara, and market is just at its infancy. Would you confirm? Could you confirm that, Mr. Zikrullah? We got our SAT guy behind the cameras, by the way, guys. So it's at its infancy, and I feel like Tashkent market is ripe. It's like ready because I see a lot of foreign university projects taking off. Students are curious about studying abroad now more than ever, right?
It is more than ever. It's more than any time before, for sure. But it is about to, go its prime. It's not yet. I think it's my opinion, because, and the thing about the market, yes, there might be a lot of people know about ACT, want to study ACT, but they are not sure of. They don't have selective arguments here, so they don't want to some extent. They don't care how they study, but they have an idea of studying ACT. So they are not educated yet in terms of ACT market. For example, in IELTS, let's say, they know much. They don't know IELTS. Even parents know that IELTS has a 4 divisions, right? And they know about, like, let's say, some practice tests, some of the things. Market is more educated, and they know if you offer them a course, they will to some extent say, what will you do this? What will you do that?
Yeah.
But when it comes to SAT, they don't question it much right now. So therefore, it's a bit problem for them to know their goal of studying SAT. And the problem with SAT, SAT cannot. SAT is only for university, right? While IELTS is for something bigger than that. And yes, we can have thousands of 1500 students, but they cannot do anything with it.
But I heard the governor, our president, introduced a new policy. I'm not sure if it's confirmed. Now universities give you a scholarship if you have SAT 1200 plus or something.
It is not confirmed yet. It might be confirmed, but it might not be too. We don't know exactly. But private schools in Uzbekistan, yes, they do offer scholarships. They do offer admission for the SAT, but the governmental schools, no. So therefore, it's very limited. People who get SAT, they aim for abroad, right? They don't aim to get SAT and to get into private school in Uzbekistan, because they can get it without SAT too, with the exam
I think it's entirely possible that one day SAT becomes part of the university admission all across the board, all the universities. Like at this point, you can totally say IELTS has become part of the admission, university admission.
Yes.
National, international, any college you go to, they recognize IELTS. So is it possible that SAT is headed in that direction? Can this possibly happen with SAT as well? It's American tests, right? IELTS is British, SAT is American, right?
SAT is very good in terms of nurturing students' reasoning skills. But when it comes to percentage, right ratio, when we compare the, let's say, 70% of DTM, let's say 70 maximum score that you can get in DTM is 189, right? And 70% is something like 146 or something like that. And it's very good score. Very good score. You have to work for it. You cannot just go get into, DTM and get 140, right? But when we compare 70% of XCT, it's 1200. And it's 1200. Is it way more possible to make it
Mm-hmm.
than the TM. So therefore, if we don't, in my opinion, raise the bar,
Mm-hmm.
we cannot expect something good.
Mm-hmm.
We will have very easy getting into the universities, and that will not be very good.
So what is the IELTS equivalent of 1200? Is it 6?
6.
6, right? And that's the acceptable IELTS score in university
Yes.
admission,
Yes.
right? Here in Uzbekistan, 6, right? So 6 means that you can you understand, you know English, and you can speak and write in this language at basic level, right? Except I think the acceptable IELTS rate should be set at 7 minimum,
Yes.
like that,
Yes.
right? The bare minimum. So what do you think should be the acceptable SAT rate?
Minimum 1400.
1400, not
Yes.
even 13.
No.
Not even 1300.
1300. I mean, it doesn't feel good. When you get SAT, if you get 1300, you're not satisfied with yourself. When you get 1400,
Okay.
when you get 1400, you feel like you are somewhere. You're somewhere. And the same thing, if you, I mean, take the exam for university, right? If you got 1350, it feels like I don't know. It might be offending, but undeserving to study at university, because 1300 is not that difficult, and if you try one more, you can get it.
I mean, is that your perception of
It is my perception, because yeah, I see students with 1300, they are very good, but they have a very good potential to score even more, so they don't have to be satisfied with, I mean, 1300. And universities, if they are more selective, we will have better people. If we have better people, we will have better, to some extent, results and reputation, and
right,
again,
right.
so cycle.
My youngest brother, who's studying at Arizona University right now, University of Arizona. I'm not sure which one exactly, 'cause apparently these are two different
Yeah, yeah.
universities, University of Arizona and Arizona University. So he goes to one of these colleges and is majoring in computer science right now. And guess what his SAT score is?
It might be 1320, 1330.
He got 1370. He got 1370, 75. And he got into a US based university. So I think 13 is not a bad score after all. It's like saying IELTS 7 is a bad score, which it's not.
But
like-
I think it depends on the university's goal too. If university's goal is to educate someone for their own purposes, it is good. But if university's purpose is to select students and make them, to some extent, very selected, and to some extent different from the average person, they have to raise the bars, because Arizona University has a lot of students, comparing to any top school. I mean,
I mean,
comparing to the schools that are even in lower ranking, but hard to get into. I mean, also, when you get into, let's say, Colby, right? Colby College. Yes, it is not in ranking. It is liberal arts college. People in Uzbekistan don't know, and parents don't agree don't confirm that their, to some extent, son and girl, daughters study at that university. But it is, I think it's my personal opinion, that if you study at Colby College for 4 years, you get way more experience and you get way more things than you study at Arizona, which is in higher ranking.
right. But you also got to take into account students and their parents' socioeconomic background, because if you want higher SAT score, obviously you'd have to send your kid to a school for an extended amount of time, which means more investment, financial investment to your kid's future. And generally speaking, many people may not be able to afford it if you set SAT as a like a standard part of the admission process. So with that in mind, don't you think it'd be more sensible to settle for 1300, not 1400, like taking into account the socioeconomic conditions of the majority of the people?
Yeah, I think we can conclude it this way. If we want to educate mass, we should lower the requirements. If we want to, educate people who are very selected, we have to raise the bar. So there might be two types of universities, and therefore I think in the United States there are two types of universities: elite colleges such as Ivy Leagues and liberal arts that accept very selected number of people. It's 2, 3, 4%. For international, it's lower than 1%. And there are the schools that are with very good facilities, with very good offerings, can accept everyone who applies. Almost everyone. Almost everyone. So, for example, Arizona is a school that, if you have studied at school, and if you have an IELTS, if you know English, you can study there.
Right. But assuming that policy went into effect, there would be so much demand for SAT, right, guys? The SAT market would thrive.
Yes. I think yes.
But I have a hunch, though, we are headed in that direction. Like, we're headed towards that future. Because, you see, I'm not a policymaker. I don't know how the internal system works with respect to education, but it'd be a very smart move if the government or the Ministry of Education decided to set SAT as the part of the admission process and just got rid of the other subjects. It'd be so much weight lifted off students' shoulders that the entire process would be so much more streamlined, like it is with foreign universities, right? All you do your IELTS, get your SAT, sit in an interview. If they like you, you'll get picked. Yeah, right.
I agree with
as opposed to having and doing 5 different subjects which don't have as much relevance to your life. If you're someone who wants to go into physics or math, why honestly study mother tongue and spend a year of your life learning grammar conventions and rules, right?
Yes.
I mean, sure, it might be a part of the government's strategy to raise literacy levels of people in this country, but I think people are not that dumb, right? We're past that point now. I mean, at this point, I have a feeling probably like maybe 5 years time, right? You're gonna have SAT as part of the admission process nearly everywhere, right?
Yeah, that would be
a dream come true for your school, right?
shift
you
for
as
the
well,
market.
right?
We'll have new types of people.
Can we talk a little about your teaching experience, working as an SAT teacher? So, what is your general approach to teaching SAT? How do you go about it?
My general approach, to some extent, to become a person who is more than teacher for the student.
Okay.
Who wants to help out with everything that they have, except SAT, outside of SAT, and beyond SAT, to be honest.
So, what are those things like their college application?
Their college application, their psychological problems, they are how they feel themselves. They should be able to express their inner thoughts to you in private, and they should, to some extent, for example, I see it as a way that I had many teachers, right? But when someone asks me about my teachers, a few of them come to my mind. Why? Because I remember exactly the talks that we had with them. So therefore, my approach is that I try to become with them. I don't try; it's my nature to become with them a friend, and we talk. I mean, enjoy. We laugh. And with this mind, I simply want them to study SAT in the way that they remember it to some extent forever.
Right.
It's their in memory part that they had SAT in their mind, not just an SAT, but this whole experience.
So you're trying to connect with your students on a more personal level, and trying to create a personalized experience. So you make a good impression on them.
Yeah.
Right. Can we talk a little about the technical side of things? Like, how do you go about your curriculum? Like, what portion of your curriculum you guys spend teaching math, and how you go about teaching English? So, what's the labor division is like? Right.
So the entire program lasts 3 to 6 months. So last 3 months is the ACT months, and people who are not ready for the students who are not ready for the SAT, they study general English and general math. And as long as their level is ready, they get to the SAT. So in the SAT, everything is structured. They will have classes every single day. English on, let's say, even days, and math on odd days, like every other day.
And you have classes on Sundays as well?
No.
So
So except Sunday, Monday to Saturday. And then 3 English classes, 3 math classes. So I am responsible for the English classes, English department at the SATashkent. So I don't intervene with the math curriculum. I just get the lessons from them. What they have implemented something, did it work or not? And if worked, we're gonna copy it or adjust it to our curriculum too. So our curriculum lasts 3 months, English, and we try to balance everything: hardcore, rigid curriculum too, and open-minded, chill environment too, or entertainment. So we try to balance every single thing. So we have different types of classes. We have topic explanation class, where we mainly explain the class, explain the topic, explain the concept to students, and they will listen and take notes. They will think, they will reflect. So they will not have to do anything except using their brain on that specific day. And then we will have homework task class. Homework task class, or homework day, what we call it. So it is the class that we assign home tasks on the topic explanation days, right? After every single class, we're going to assign them home tasks, and they have specific deadline. It's not like you have to do it till next lesson. It's like you have to do it till home task day. So they will have 3-4 days. It's like university. They will give assignment till the specific deadline, and it's up to you to make it the day before the day, or consistently, piece by piece. And then on home task day, so what we do is that we're going to write down the tasks that we have assigned, and we're going to ask students, which one of you have done it? And they will write in paper, I did this, I couldn't make this, my name is this, and the reason is this. And we're going to gather this all. And simply my approach is that I'm going to read this all reasons, excuses, different things in front of the class to heat the things up. Students feel a bit uncomfortable. At the same time, they to some extent reflect on the way that they haven't done the home tasks. And then it's going to be a bit fun, 10 minutes of fun. And then I'm going to simply ask them, hey, this is the deadline for those who haven't accomplished tasks. If you accomplish it till this time, I will let you to the next class. If not, I'm sorry. So that is the approach. That's a hardcore part. And if everyone almost did the home tasks, we're going to analyze the home tasks and do something. If they haven't, they're going to start doing home tasks in the class, and they will not leave until they submit some of them, some of the important things. And that's a home task class. And then we're going to have exam preparation day. We have exams on our curriculum. We have middle exam, final exam, middle exam, final exam. And after exam curriculum, before exam days, we have exam prep days, right? On them, we review the topics that we have covered. We're going to give them a question that will reflect the exam questions and analyze them. And it lasts till the exam. On exam, they will have exam. We will see their results. And after exam, we're going to talk to them one-on-one. Hey, you got this. What is your problem? What do you want? Okay, I want 1500 SAT. Okay, what do you want to do with 1500 SAT? I want to apply this. No, you cannot, because you have this limited time. Or if the student is, up to date, we can say, let's go, you're good. How about your math? My math is not strong. Okay, now balance English. Now focus on math. So we're going to talk to them personally, one-on-one. And after one-on-one classes, always, in my experience, students feel more confident on themselves, even though they scored low. They feel that they belong here. It's not like they cannot open their things. They will see themselves. They will simply, on the paper, it will reflect their progress. And we're going to talk as a friend, as a brother. It's not like, hey, you haven't done this, get out. So why you haven't done this? Do you need SAT? If not, let's say you can do now IELTS. Let's do IELTS now, then SAT. Or if the student is very young, hey, don't study SAT much. Instead, work on the skills that you would need for SAT and for other things. Let's say read more books, go to extracurricular activities, and so on and so forth. So the student is much more mature than one-dimensional, which is about SAT. We cannot do anything with this student who has only SAT 1500 and doesn't have anything to do. It's boring for the college.
I really wonder if you guys have some requirements for your admission. You guys let anyone come in if they
as long
say, I
as
want to
they're
do assignment.
academically um, meet, if their academics meet the requirement, we take them.
And what are those requirements?
Those requirements, we need IELTS 7.5 for the English classes. In maths, we have our test, placement test. And then if they score simply a specific amount of number of questions they get correct, they will enter or not. So it depends on the academics requirements.
Good. So you do have an admission procedure in place, right? And I also wonder what kind of materials you get them to do. You guys use simply past exam papers, or you have your own stuff in your curriculum?
So what happens in 2 months of 3 months on the ACT, we try to work on their skills.
So
we're not going to make them solve tests too much. So it's like short test, but a lot of reflection working. And on the third month, we're going to give them past papers, and they will see. They will use this in practice, and they will get high scores, and they will have very good confidence. But exam questions are not as difficult as real exam because of environment, because of feelings, right? Emotional side. So therefore, on Sundays, we're gonna create them an exam atmosphere, which slaps them on their face and wakes them up. Hey, it's not the end. You have to work harder because those tests are a bit hard, and at the same time, we give them a preoccupation that it's an exam. It's important. So therefore, they have to deal with their emotional side too. It's like on Sundays, we're going to deal with their emotions, while on weekdays, we're going to work on their skills and put them in practice.
Do your students need a lot of emotional support? Because my understanding is like kids doing SAT are much more mature than IELTS students. Because like IELTS itself really toughens you up. Because there's a lot of repetition. There's a lot of drilling, you do an exam paper, and then you reflect on your mistakes. I really wonder if SAT students still need that.
The fact is, not everyone has IELTS when they study SAT.
But you said in your admission
IELTS 7.5, it's equivalent, right? IELTS or equivalent level of English.
Which is
what we do is that we're going to give them a passage, and they read it. And then we ask questions. Did you understand this? What did you understand? And then we will see how they think about this. What do you think about this?
So you don't strictly adhere to your IELTS requirement.
So we give them a passage. If they understand words, if they can feel what is written there, it's okay. It's good. We're going to give them, hey, we think this way. And after 3 months or 4 months, you can get this way. Are you, sure that you want to do this? If they say, yes, I am, or no, we can give them, let's say, after 2 weeks, we're going to have exam. Let's study 2 weeks. If you fail, you cannot.
So it's kind of a trial period.
Yes. If you pass, you're good.
Right. Because I'm comparing what you were saying with the way we do things here, because we have our own little SAT division as well.
So how do you do admissions there?
Pretty much the same thing. There's a lot of overlap. So we ask them for their IELTS certificate. 7 bare minimum is bare minimum. Sometimes we make exceptions for 6.5, but I guess we've never made an exception for 6, have we? We do. Oh, okay. Thank you. I'm not the SAT guy here because the SAT guy is fact-checking me sitting behind the camera. Thanks, Mr. Zikrullah. And then the math part, we have our internal exam like you guys do, right? And I kind of feel like if you just weed students out with that process, you won't have to go to the emotional part, because I see most students who got 7.5, a lot of them are, they know how to go about the standardized test, right? But if you had a new guy, fresh guy, then obviously you'd have to, wake them up, say that it's not your public school anymore. It's more rigorous prep here. We got a cram.
Yeah, right. It is interesting that how you deal with students who have emotional breakdowns after exam or before exam. They cannot they can do, but they will say, I don't know why I did this mistake. I don't know. How do you deal with those students?
Well, what do we exactly do? Well, we just tell them to therapy sessions. I'm not doing them anymore. This guy's whispering therapy sessions. He does, but I'm at a point in my life where I can't sit in a room and have another therapy session. It's too much for me. I say, grow up, move on. Easy. Grow up, move on. Life happens. All right, it happened. What are you going to do about it? Either go home, back home in your bedroom, weep to yourself, or get back up and keep trying.
Yeah.
So choice is yours, right? If you're an adult, you would make this choice. If you're still a kid, go back to your kindergarten. That's simple. And I think you need a little bit of that boldness. Right? Keep that conversation small, short, honestly. Because I used to have long talks, hour, 2 hour. Then guess what would happen? 2 weeks later, same problem. Why? Because kids are still weak. They need to toughen up. How do you do that? You have a choice. Go back home, cry, or get back up, keep fighting. That's simple.
Yeah.
The simplicity is the beauty of it here, right?
So it's like,
And it hits the kids hard, and like, this guy doesn't care. He doesn't care. I mean, it might make it seem like the world is a cruel or a sad, dark place, but eventually they realize it's just the way things are. Really, you just have to show results. You just have to try all the time, right? And the sooner they realize it, the sooner they're going to be prepared for their future life, their adult life, because that's what life is. Your friend literally put his house on the line to make this thing work. And if that thing didn't work, you really think anyone would care? No. No. You just got to get back up and keep trying, right?
So yeah, as Dana White, the founder and the president of UC, says, life is a fight every single day. I go back to home every single day at night and get a rest, get a very good rest, and then in the morning go back to the same shit.
That's good. That's good. I like that. All right, someone's gonna cut this part and make it a short. We'll put it on social media. Anyway, right. I heard you're the only SAT school in Uzbekistan, if not Central Asia, with their own online platform for testing. Is that true? So you guys came up with something called BlueBook. So that's your creation. That's your school's product.
So it is inspired by the College Board, which is official provider of SAT tests. And we have created our platform for them, for students to feel the student environment. As long as the test moved to the digital, right? Students were not familiar with solving digital tests. I mean, our students were familiar with paper only. Because the TM paper, IELTS almost paper, always paper. I mean, before CD. And when digital was introduced, students were confused, and we were giving them a PDF file to solve, and it was very tiring for their eyes, and it was very uncomfortable. But when we give them paper, yes, they will solve very good. But when they shift to the digital in the exam, they will lose themselves. So we needed solution, and we tried to create something that would reflect the exam environment in a way that when you go to the exam, you solve the test in the almost same profile. Yes, it was first when we have created it. It was first, but after several months, after some time, new projects came up. So they also reflect some of the BlueBook tests. Yeah. So yeah.
Feature, I see. So when you said new, you mean like copycats, copies?
I wouldn't say they are copycats. They are coming with their own, additions to the program.
Right.
Yeah. So the basic idea is you have to solve the exam in the way that it is reflected on the test, right? And they have their own additions. They have their own, advantages too, disadvantages too. So yeah, it's something like updated version of our program. And we're also updating it, adding some new things. It's like, yeah, they're offering some choice to the market.
A cool question here, guys. Do you have your internal IT department or you outsource it?
We have our internal IT department. The thing is, our project is based on people, right? And our IT department are close friends of Skhrobeke. So Skhrobeke studied at Tatu. It's called TUIT in English, right? Tashkent University of Information and Technologies.
Right.
And he does have a lot of friends who work in IT, IT field, in IT Park, Click, or EPAM. So, and they help us with this.
Right.
They help us.
If it's not a secret, I'm asking you all these questions because we are also trying to step up our game here, right? Because I really like picking people's brain and learning about things, and that's the whole point of podcasting, right?
Yes,
Networking,
yes.
and So if we're looking to say have our own digital extension, not necessarily for SAT but IELTS, like, so how much of investment are we looking at? Roughly, like you can give me a ballpark number.
So it might be for us it costs about like $500
Wow,
because
it's
of
not that
because of people who are close to us, right?
Mhm.
And yeah, and they wanted to do it for free, but yeah. And then
I was
when we
expecting you would say something like 10, 15K, because I literally got approached by an IT guy, and he told me he could set up a school platform for us for 50K. But I mean that's a lot of money.
I think that school platform he means is whole CRM, right? So
Well,
customer
yeah,
management,
yeah,
student accounts.
and probably app as a bonus,
Yes,
like where students can do their
that costs a
assignments.
lot, I think.
Yeah.
So it's something like if you want to do just an exam thing, it might cost. I'm not very familiar with the price, but it might cost about like 5K to 15K, I think. Yeah, something like that.
Right. And you think it's better to do it in-house or outsource it?
In-house will be expensive,
Yeah.
and
Like setting up your own
yes,
servers, your own room, right? Cooling system, right? And someone and permanent staff, like full-time working,
so
maintaining.
you want the platform, also the setting of the exam here, or you just want the platform?
Like, I mean, if we're having online extension of our school, we might as well do the SAT thing, like as part of that thing, right? A mini product.
If it's platform, I think it's an
Yeah.
outsourcing is a very good choice because people who
Mm.
have a very good skills in IT work
Mhm.
somewhere,
Mhm.
and they cannot to some extent full time move to somewhere
Yeah,
for the project.
that makes sense. You're
Yes.
right. That makes sense. It's somewhat difficult, honestly, to set up an IT department division of your own in this city because
Yes.
the IT market is just getting started in
Mm.
the city. I mean, in Tashkent, you get it. There are big IT companies, guys freelancing, guys working for looking for a side gig, a little bit of extra cash on the side. So they don't mind building a school setup for someone in their spare time, right? On their weekends or their vacation, whatever, right? But the city, though, it's hard to find talent. It's hard to find those people who can help you
Yeah.
build
I
that
think
thing.
in Bukhara you can find a lot of salesmen.
Yeah,
For
right.
other because when we came yesterday in the morning,
Uh-huh.
we had a taxi, and the person who was driving
Uh-huh.
was a true, I mean, foundation of sales
Uh-huh.
that teach
Definition
in
of
United States
salesman.
in Ivy League colleges and businesses,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean top schools, top
Eh,
business schools, right?
right.
He would try to identify our needs, and he would
Uh-huh.
try to some extent come
Uh-huh.
up with solutions. Hey, I'm available 24/7. If you
Uh-huh.
call me anytime, I will be there,
Uh-huh.
taking you somewhere,
All right.
showing you Bukhara. So
That's
yeah.
good. That's good. You need actually a little bit of that spirit when you're a teacher as well. Are you going to be, because whatever you're teaching, your message is your product, and you're going to be able to sell.
Yes.
You got to be able to sell. There is a big overlap with
Yeah.
teachers and salesmen.
Yeah.
We got all these ideas, our vision, and our approach or philosophy about how things should be, right?
Yeah.
You got to
And
be able to get them across, right?
it's interesting that in our community we have a lot of people who are from Bukhara,
Mm-hmm.
and it to some extent become a stigma for us that if you are Bukharian, you are from another world, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we don't question their communication skills a lot. Simply, we don't interview them even. So if they're academically fit, you can
Cool.
hit this. I mean, classroom. So there is no way. Plus, it's a bonus that your accent is something that
Right.
I mean very smooth and comes to your ears and soothes you up, right?
You guys talking about? Do you guys speak Uzbek in your at your school or English?
So at our school, it is to some extent based on the teacher's personality. We have people who teach only in English, and some students like it. Some students don't like it. So therefore, we have choices. So for me, I ask students like, which one is better for you? So now you might think that if you study English, you are studying SAT in English. It might to some extent be sounding more right for you,
Mm-hmm.
but it's overhyped.
Mm-hmm.
Your native language is Uzbek,
Mm-hmm.
so you perceive the things in Uzbek. Your childhood was in Uzbek almost. So if I speak in Uzbek, you're gonna get it faster, and you'll get it for the longer term. So
Mm-hmm.
therefore, let me try to explain you in Uzbek first, and then if you don't understand, I will turn to the English. And our class is more of like Uzbek English, Uzbek English, Uzbek English, Uzbek English.
Right. I see. I asked you that because you said Bukharian. You said you have a thing for Bukharian
Yeah,
accent.
yeah, yeah.
I thought you have guys speaking Uzbek because Bukharian accent in Uzbek sounds. Did you mean when guys
Yeah,
speak
Bukhari, Uzbek,
Uzbek?
Bukhari. Yeah.
Not English though.
No,
Right.
no,
Uzbek.
no.
Well, our Uzbek is pretty weird though. You guys ever heard a, a Bukharian guy speaking Uzbek? You've never heard me speak Uzbek, right?
They speak
Not
very. I
today.
mean,
Not today.
I like it.
Uh,
I like Bukharian accent.
yeah, cool.
It's smooth.
Right. I would honestly say that. We sound like we got something in our mouth when we speak Uzbek.
Mm.
Really. Right. Anyway. Would you like to speak a little about your experience of running the school, right? So you are like you wear different hats. You're sometimes a teacher, sometimes managing the school, right? Making important decisions. So what is it like being in that position, management position, right? And how does that compare to your teaching
I
experience?
struggled with managing position, to be honest, because as I told, my childhood was something like made me believe in myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I would do something, and if I do it, I would do it in the way that I like it, right? But when it comes to management, I struggled it. All my life, I thought that it's my, I mean, competitive advantage, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when I was teaching, I was doing good. Everyone was happy. My students were happy, but we had to scale up, and I was not able to teach 24/7 and
Mm-hmm.
thousand groups, right? So therefore, we have to hire, prepare new teachers, and I would have to assign tasks, right? But in my mind, there was always a problem. I will assign the tasks, and he or she will complete it in this way. But am I satisfied? No. Can I do it by myself? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I will do it by myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I would do something like that. I would take everything up on me, a lot of responsibilities, and this, my childhood experience of this, that believing in my self confidence was working negatively on me
Mm-hmm.
because of a lot of workload, and I was not able to uh, assign tasks properly, and was not able to some extent teach them,
Mm-hmm.
grow them. So therefore, I had a hard time of assigning tasks.
Mm-hmm.
But then I, to some extent, learned how to assign tasks, how to be patient with the outcomes,
Mm-hmm.
how to be, to some extent, if I assign one task, if they complete it, I see flaws, and I say, hey, there is a flaw, let's do it this way.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned it. And
So one of the first things you learned as
yes,
a manager is how to delegate
yes,
tasks,
how to
right?
delegate tasks.
And
Mhm.
being okay with people not always living up to your expectations, to your
Yeah.
standards. Like,
Yeah.
I can totally relate to that experience. It's something I've recently started to realize about the way I manage. Like, I take on more than I can. I can bite off more than I can chew. Like, I'm teaching 3, 4 groups a day on top of running 2 schools, and it literally gave me a heart attack the other day. I was holding my heart because it was all the strain and the pressure, and I'm starting to realize that it's not smart, right? It's not the most genius way to go about not just managing, living. Okay,
Yes.
it's not sustainable. Like, it had to stop at some point. So now I'm becoming more um, comfortable with the idea that it's okay letting people, you know, take over. Right? It's okay not always being in control, because I used to be one of those micromanagement freaks. Like, I have to be in touch with everything. Everything has to go through me. Like, if I don't see it, then I'm freaking out. No, it has to go now. So, and is that something you noticed in my personality? Risk? Am I still that way? Okay. Upgrades coming. Okay, I'm fixing those bugs. We'll fix those bugs. Yeah, system is going through complete overhaul.
Yeah.
Expect some changes next week.
I was like that too. I filled up my Notion account with a lot of things, detail, micromanagement. When will I do what? What is going on? But yeah, it's very overwhelming. It's very overwhelming. And then when I learned delegate the tasks, I had another problem. I thought that I was doing nothing, and I felt like I'm a disaster for the team because I'm not doing anything. I'm just sitting, giving tasks and waiting for tasks. And I had a lot of free time and I didn't know what to do. And that was the problem to deal. And then I started in my free time learning about the things, learning new things. So yeah, that was the thing that I learned about managing. Another thing I learned about managing is so you have a team, right? And everyone needs different tasks in the way that someone might not like the task that you assign them and will not do with their own heart. So first, I think what in my experience, why is very important for a student. So it's not very important to give them details how you will do it, but let's do this and we need this because of this and these reasons. It's very important. So therefore I'm assigning you this, and your interest overlap with this task in the future. For example, if you want to become a, let's say, blogger or content creator in the future, let's do content right now together so that you learn and we can afford your mistakes. Yes, it costs us something, your mistakes, but we can afford it right now. So we can also get something from you, that you can do content creation. And you will also get something other than financials, other than team, other than current things, so that in the long term you will have skills. And if we assign it to the person who wants to become, let's say, IT, something like that, he will not or she will not do it. But if that person is thinking about, oh, I have a goal that I want to become a digital creator, something like that, he or she will love it. And they will do it, with pure heart.
Right.
The work is going to be, yes, it's not accomplished, but you can see that there is something put into it.
Right. They would not take it for granted.
Yes.
They would put in more passion and more their soul into the work than someone who's accustomed to doing it every day, right?
Yes.
It's like you can see it in the example of an intern versus a seasoned teacher. Experienced teacher who's making good money and has been doing it for a long time. It's to them just another class. But for an intern to whom it's a valuable opportunity
to grow,
they'll go full throttle on this. They go full steam. Right? I need this. I have to try the hardest. They over deliver.
Yes.
It's something you don't see with other guys. You're right, though. You're right.
And the last but not least, the thing that I learned about managing is everyone has needs, and even your team has needs. And even though they're getting money, right, they're getting salaries, they always have worries in their, minds, because now social media puts everyone into the fact that, hey, if you are working for someone, then you're not doing good. Then let's do your own. It's to some extent correct, but it's flawed. It's not showing the whole context. It's not showing how much of time you need to master up the skills, and it puts everyone in the side that they want you to work for you and make money out of you, something like that. But there are the people who want to team up and work together and work for your growth. So therefore, I understood that if I was to some extent getting salary every month, right, that would cover my expenses, but I would have goals, right? I want to, let's say, buy an iPhone. Let's say I want to go traveling, so something like that. And those things are always worrying a person whether to move somewhere else or something like that. So therefore, they will not put 100%. So therefore, it's called it's a strachowka for them. Strachowka is that, hey, work with us, you're going to be fine. You have this goal, you're going to achieve it. You're on the right path. So that belief for them would put, their productivity levels get very high after this. So strachowka is one of the good things. Even though you pay them well, if you don't give them strachowka, if you don't align with their future goals, that's not good for
Yeah.
you and for them too, because they will simply, it would be a lesson for them. It shouldn't be a lesson for them. It would be something that, I mean, lesson can be positive and negative, right? So it should be a lesson that they would do the same if they go to somewhere else. So therefore, I think about that too.
Right. So when you say that Russian word, you mean like a plan B or contingency plan, or like a
No,
safety
it's
net?
something like that.
Safety net.
Yes,
So
safety net.
if they fail, you're holding them. You're there to hold them. You're there to grab them, help
So
them.
what happens in their mind, I think, is that I'm gonna work here for 12 months. I'm gonna earn this much, but it's not enough. So what I'm gonna do? I have to side hustle, but I don't have time. If they side hustle, time that they put into work will decrease anyways, and they can. It's not fact that they can make it, but you can offer them, hey, let's do this task together. If we successfully do it, we're gonna do this on top of your salary, and that would to some extent heaten up them so much that they will. I don't know. They work because they want to do it, and we work because we want to do it.
So, in a sense, what you're doing is trying to create opportunities for growth within the company.
Yes.
Right? You can grow without leaving us.
Yes.
You can stay with us and still get there. But we can get there together.
You can grow with us and without us. So it's your choice. We have our offerings, but you have always a choice. So that's the thing. So you don't have to forget about your dreams when you're working with us. It's not like you work for us, but you work with us.
So how is that the different when you work with us? And you don't have to take those risks we had to take, right?
We will cover your costs, mistakes.
Because mistakes can be costly, right? Because like your friend took a huge mistake putting his house on. Like, I honestly can't imagine selling my house to invest in a business. You'd be homeless. You realize that? You realize your friend has big balls. So I gotta have him on the podcast. I'd love to talk to him.
Yeah.
Find out more about this guy.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. How would you? Well, who are some leaders you look up to?
That's a difficult question, to be honest. I don't look up to the specific people, and they might not be leaders. I might look up to the ordinary people who are not smarter and who are smarter than me, for example. So it might be a person who is selling in Badar, who is driving a bus, who is, to some extent, I don't know. It is something like I try to look up to the behaviors that they act in specific moments rather than their whole personality. For example, I might be to some extent bad at expressing my thoughts, but I might be good at, let's say, helping a homeless person while nobody is to some extent watching it, right? Or someone else might be good at this and bad at this. So therefore, I try to cherish the moments of people acting accordingly, because if a person acts one way, right, let's say, and the cause of it, I mean, the reason that it happened is very complex. Set of events, set of understandings. I mean, a lot of experiences that happened that person took this action. Maybe mom helped someone. A lot. It's very complex. And I think about this, how a person is acting this way. So it's very complex. It's beautiful in its own.
Right.
And would I do the same if I was that person? Yes, but because of what I would do this?
Right.
No. Okay, then I don't have that experience that I can relate with this. So therefore, I try to look up to the specific actions of specific people. It doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't matter what they are. It doesn't matter what are they doing. Even it might be at night. It might be, I don't know. It doesn't matter.
So you judge a person's character based on how they choose to act in a given situation, right? Not necessarily judge them on what they've done in the past or who they are like in general, because we sometimes identify ourselves as being compassionate, caring, but are we always like that? Do we act compassionate and caring? Say things when things don't go our way, when odds are against us, right? Do we still have that, maintain that quality, right? So you're very selective when it comes to that. I see.
I see people as individuals, and if they make mistakes, I'm okay for it. If they make success, I'm okay for it. Why? Because, I mean, I don't have expectations as I thought, because people are irrational human beings on the base, so they make mistakes, and even if they killed, let's say, themselves, like suicided, for me it is explainable. For me, nothing is non-explainable. So there are some people non-negotiables, right? If you did this, no, or this. But even if that person did something even bad for me, betrayed me, I try to understand them. Okay, what happened? If I were in your place, maybe I will do the same, because the things that led you to do this is not easy, and I didn't have it, and no one who is judging you have it. So therefore, they don't know you. I try to understand them, and I try to some extent see them as individuals. Let's say like a Venom. Do you know Venom? Is like moving.
The new
in
one came
different-
out recently.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Venom in different locations. So it's unpredictable, non-negotiable to some extent, and yeah, it's irrational. People are irrational, and I understand that, and I respect that. So they're individuals. They don't have to be no one. They don't have to prove themselves to be anyone. They're just living. They don't have to hurt anyone. They don't have to offend. That's it. They can do whatever they want.
Yeah, being open-minded is a life-changing quality. It's one of the things I also realized and took on recently, and my life has never been the same. Realizing that things happen for a reason, and we should think twice before we jump to conclusion about why people are the way they are or why they do the things they do. Right? Yeah, it changes you in a lot of ways. What's great about being open-minded is that it brings you so much peace. Right? So you stop worrying so much about why things are the way they are or why something happened.
And you stop worrying about yourself too a lot. I mean, if you act in a specific way, but it is a bit problematic with yourself though, because you might be too much lean towards being okay with everything, and that doesn't yield good results at the end.
Yeah, you're right. Like some lines get blurred between being open-minded and complacent and indifferent. Like you should not be entirely indifferent to what happens in your environment, surroundings. Try to, like you said, understand the best you can. But if there's nothing to understand, just make peace with it. Move on.
Right? Yes, I have a story with it. Was being too much open-minded, too much okay with everything. So I was in this ideology. I was believing in it, and I was indifferent to most of the emotions. I was not happy. I was not sad. So I was okay. I was good. I was living very good life. But when I measured my impact to the people around me, people who are close to me, I need responsibilities, and I have responsibilities. When I was, let's say, too much okay with everything, I tried to not have responsibilities. I had responsibilities on me. That's it. I don't have to do anything. I don't owe anyone anything. So even for my parents. But then I realized that it's not that good. It's not that good. There are the times that you have to take specific actions, and if you don't take it, it might lead to, I mean, something that you don't want to experience. So therefore, if I can do something and I have to do that, and at the end it will lead better results for them, I will do it. So I don't question it. I will do it.
Right. Yes, there are some boundaries you can't cross.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are some
Balance.
boundaries. Sure. Can you now move on to the next chapter where we're going to be talking a little about your side projects, things you've been involved in, like your interviews with your podcast, basically,
Yes.
right? When did you start having podcasts?
The idea of having podcast came in December 2022. I was not the host. I was helping the host to create questions to come up with something. It was fun for me.
Okay.
And I didn't have any expectations again before the podcast of the first I had. And I was just purely involved in the talk and wanted to understand the person. And I think when I questioned why I like talking to people and why I like podcasting people. And it was because of the fact that when I was child and throughout my still, when I talk to new people, when I talk to my friends, let's say you don't meet your friend for 3 months and you meet again, right? Old friend. And I don't usually talk about myself a lot. I ask them how this happened, what this happened, and when I listen to them, I like I like to feel that I know about them much of the things, and if they act specific way, I have a specific dot that connect to it. So therefore, I am more information driven. I want to know what happened, how it happened, and why you did this. So therefore, in the podcast, it's like you ask a question and then you listen and you reflect on the things. So therefore, I think it's my nature led to the podcasting, and I enjoyed podcasting a lot.
So, like, when did you have your first episode?
First is it was in spring of 2023.
Oh, you were early in podcasting, right? So we started this podcast 2024 this year, literally. So
yeah, but you do consistently.
how many episodes have you had so far?
We had 8.
8 episodes. Yeah.
We had 8 episodes. We were. I mean, our podcast was solely on college admissions. We wanted to change the, perception of people that it's not that SAT, IELTS, or specific extracurriculars that will get you into the college, but it is you who is the cause of these things. And what are you? Who are you as a person? So behind those numbers, who are you? And we always start the podcast. We don't want. We will not ask your SAT. We will not ask your IELTS. If people want it, they can find it somewhere. If they don't find it, then it's private. So therefore, today we're going to talk about the things that behind the scenes, and the personality that got into you to this college. So what are the things that shaped this personality for you? Yeah, I enjoy it.
Cool. So when can your viewers expect next episode?
Next episode is already edited.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
right.
But it's in the private in YouTube. So if we press public, it will be available. They know it with whom it is with Brown University student Aloma. It was a very good podcast in terms of college admission, and they can have a lot of fun plus insights onto the college admission. Because I respect her because she got into Brown after a gap year, and she almost did everything by herself, and she studied a ordinary school that everyone can have a chance to study. So yeah,
right.
That's a very cool story.
I kind of envy you because you're in Tashkent and you got so many guest options. Like when you if happen to be Tashkent, because Tashkent is like a metropolitan city. You got cosmopolitan city. That's the word they use for it. It's a city where you have people from different backgrounds, cultures, occupations, right?
Yes.
Right. But if I happen to want to have an interview or podcast with a guy who got into an Ivy League school or any, foreign college, university, right? Unless it's the season. Well, in our season is usually summertime when they return home to see their parents. I'm all out of luck. Guest list is empty. There's no one on the guest list, right? Right. If I happen to be in Tashkent, I'd be having a podcast every 2 days.
Yeah, there are a lot of people in Tashkent, and they're very smart people, amazing people. Yeah. I have an idea that I would like to do a podcast with people, out of nowhere. Something like cleaners. What? Bodybuilders, some from different walks of life.
Right.
So I know what they feel, what they do, because they're people too.
Right. And your guest list is much wider, broader than mine, because you're not limited to only English-speaking guests, right?
Yes.
Unlike this podcast where we strictly adhere to English guest lists, so people who can speak English, right?
Because I think it's an educational project, right?
Not necessarily. It's what you call passion project. I actually picked up this phrase from all those kids who go to those colleges. They call it. They use the word passion project. This is our passion project.
What did you understand about those people, let's
Uh-huh.
say Rustam, that you got to talk, Levsha, Valera himself.
I mean, they're all different. They're all different. It's hard to put them in one word. But what I've come to learn is they're very open-minded people. Like open-minded is the word you would use to describe them. They don't necessarily subscribe to one ideology or school of thought, right? They are they're free-minded. They like to explore, try new things, learn about different things. So, and you really need that, right? Because the world is a big place,
Yes.
right? And when you go to a public school or your neighborhood, your school environment, we're taught to believe certain things. Only stick to those things. I mean, yes, it's a good thing to have values. It's a good thing to have traditions. Right? After all, those things define who you are in a lot of ways, but not entirely. But at the same time, you should not be afraid to ask why, how, where, when, or why do I have to believe it? Why do I have to follow this tradition? Do I really see myself doing it for the next 10, 15 years? Or to what extent do I really agree with that idea or belief? Or why should I be reading this book? Why should I be reading that book instead? It's just that being curious and critical is something I've noticed in a lot of those guests I talk to, right? And it's ultimately what leads you to answers that set you apart from the crowd. Is that you're not afraid to ask, you're curious, you want to find out, you want to learn, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And why do you think we should be divided into countries, nations? Why do you think so?
Well, I never said we should be
I
divided in
mean,
countries or
it is
nations,
good.
though.
It's good to have. I mean, those nations. I mean, ideologies, values. But why do you think so?
There are as many views, ideologies in the world as there are people on this planet, and that's what makes this little universe beautiful. Is that diversity, right? Be sad if everyone believed the same thing, right? We'd be no different than robots or designed to perform a task and work the entire day at factory and recharge and wake up the next morning and repeat the same thing all over. It wouldn't be as much fun, right? Right? It's the fun element, it's the excitement element that comes from seeing that diversity around the world. Even though sometimes it might mean conflict of interests, it might mean conflict of beliefs and lead to physical altercations. Like, the way I see it is a small price to pay for this diversity and excitement we get as a result of it, right? That would be my take on
So, can it mean that being too much open-minded make you a boring person?
it. Being open-minded makes you boring.
I mean, being too much open-minded, being too much global citizen, make you a boring citizen.
Well, no, it doesn't make you a boring person. It makes you, on the contrary, it makes you quite an interesting person. But the problem with being too open-minded is there's a fine line between being open-minded and completely
Indifferent, right?
not necessarily indifferent, but extreme in being open-minded. Like when some people are so open-minded to the point that they do things that defy logic and common sense and simple physics or biology, right? Right.
Yes.
That is a little too extreme. That's how you know you've gone too far. It's like because you're doing things that defy common sense, human reason, logic, and those are some of the innate features we're all born with: logic, reason. It's the thing that sets us apart from animals. And when you cross that boundary,
It doesn't make
the
sense.
thing that defines you as human is gone. You're not that human anymore, right? You're a different creature of different sort. And I'm just gonna leave it at that. Honestly, I don't want to. There are some ideologies that are a little too extreme, far off, right? They deviate from the general belief and standard and thoughts, beliefs too far. Right? They might be corrupting society in ways we can't imagine, right? Like the transgenderism movement, or you got uh, people doing weird stuff we see on the internet, right? boys dressed up as girls and girls dressed up as boys. Well, this is where things get a little hairy.
Mm.
Anyway, right.
Mm.
It's a quite a contentious topic here.
Yeah.
This is a dangerous area we're entering, right? I'm not afraid to have these conversations, but we need much longer than 2 hours to see the end of it,
Yeah.
right? Okay, right. What do you say we talk a little about your hobbies as well? What do you see yourself when you're not teaching, working, managing, or having cool podcasts like this?
I love watching movies.
Uh-huh.
Christopher Nolan movies a lot. And then I go gym. I go
Mm-hmm.
swimming.
Mm-hmm.
And then I like to work on my laptop
Uh-huh.
doing nothing.
Uh-huh.
So going some random cafes
Mm-hmm.
and doing nothing. I like to talk. I like to spend time with my close people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't have much free time,
Mm-hmm.
but I love to do these things, and most of the things that shaped me are these things, not my work.
So you said you're kind of a movie buff, right?
Yeah.
So what would you say are some movies that made a big impact on your life? That what are some movies that changed the way you think?
Mm. Um, there are many movies, but
Mm-hmm.
the thing about I like that comes to my mind very first is the Schindler's List.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a movie that I enjoyed a lot and understand what the humanity is and what the
Mm-hmm.
human is and what human can be.
How much evil we are
Yeah,
capable
yeah,
of,
yeah.
and how much goodness we can do,
Yes.
right?
So that's what I understood about this.
Mm-hmm.
And list goes on and on. And I might finish it with Godfather
Mm-hmm.
movie, especially the very first
Mm-hmm.
episode of that. That is very mind blowing in terms of how character development can be. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, after this, I started adapting on the people this way, right? If you are this way right now,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not gonna be surprised if you turn to somebody tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
because experiences can make a person anything because of the different situations. So a person who, let's say, likes family, loves family, can die for family, can become indifferent to the family after a few years of experiences. So
Mm-hmm.
therefore, I understood that personality is a betrayer.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot, to some extent, rely on that. You cannot say that
Mm-hmm.
I am, let's say, empathetic person, so I'm gonna stay this way. You can say you can state, but will you do this? We don't know. So it
Mm-hmm.
depends. So that's what I understood about a lot of scenes from The Godfather, because
Mm-hmm.
how the son of a Godfather, right,
Mm-hmm.
becomes a person who is empathetic, who understands everything, cold-hearted, little analytical.
Mm-hmm.
So,
You're like
and to some
skeptical.
extent embraces the family culture
Oh.
while when in the past he didn't want to embrace.
Mm.
So yeah, those are the things.
Quite honestly, though, I think Godfather series is just overrated.
Overrated.
It's a little overrated.
Uh,
Yeah, we got another Godfather movie fan sitting behind the camera right now. He's like, okay.
yeah, first one.
It's gonna be a tough sell for me, though. Honestly, Uh, I watched it a long, long, long time ago. Maybe at the time I didn't understand the themes the movie tries to explore. Right? Maybe I should rewatch it. I don't know,
Yeah.
but some of these movies are really overrated. But on the IBMD rating, that's the site that rates movies,
Yes.
it's number one. I
It
think
is number two,
Godfather
I
is
think.
number one. What's number one?
Number one is that one, Escaping the Shawshank. Shawshank
Shawshank.
Redemption.
Yeah, Redemption.
9.4, I think, in IMDb.
Mm-hmm.
And Godfather 9.1. And then I think Dark Knight
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
rises.
I mean, Dark Knight is a good movie.
Dark Knight is a good. I mean, three of them are amazing masterpieces.
Yeah, right.
I love them.
Cool. Cool. Right. So we're how long have been going? For over 2 hours. It's a little over 2 hours. Yeah,
didn't
where
even feel it.
realize it's been 2 hours, right? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, Mr. Abdul Malik. See, that's what I like about having iPhones. Like you can shoot the whole thing in one go. See, if we were to use those pro cameras, we would have to pause like 20 times until this point,
Yeah.
and it drags so long that you'd be bored. You would just want to go home. You'd say, "Can I just go home? I'm gonna miss my train." What time you're leaving, by the way?
It's I think for 40 something like that.
Oh, really?
60.
Okay, all right, sure. So the final chapter of our podcast, we talk a little philosophy. So, how would you describe your philosophy on life? How?
My philosophy on life.
Mhm.
So philosophy is what we call is um I I usually don't understand this question.
Let's do that. I never bothered to look up the meaning of like this word gets thrown around a lot, but I
Yeah.
don't think people usually really get what
It's
philosophy is.
blurred for me for what is philosophy.
Philosophy. So Oxford Dictionary says the philosophy is the study of nature and meaning of the universe. It's about meaning. So what is
meaning.
it's in other words, when someone asks what your philosophy is, they're asking how you define meaning in life, or what is the meaning of your life? What gets you up in the morning?
Meaning for me has changed a lot.
Mm-hmm.
When I was child, it was to go to school.
Mm-hmm.
When I graduated school, it was to go to work
Mm-hmm.
to get the job.
Mm-hmm.
When I started the project, it was um, to not, to some extent,
Mm-hmm.
give up
Mm-hmm.
on our goal. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, what makes me to wake up in the morning is pure love of the day.
Mm-hmm.
I love being me.
Mm-hmm.
I love people around me.
Mm-hmm.
I love every single moment of me, and I want to experience it again and again and again and again. So that's a philosophy. I don't have, I mean, much of universal goal, but I also think that universe is in me.
Mm-hmm.
So I love being. I might die one day, right? I will die. It's not might. I will for sure die one day, and I will not have this moment again.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore I try to enjoy every single micro feelings of it.
Mm-hmm.
And when I work.
Mm-hmm.
When I sleep, I sleep.
Mm-hmm.
When I watch YouTube shorts, I watch YouTube shorts. So I enjoy it too. So it's not like I watch YouTube shorts and without anything. So I watch it. Why this person put this comment? Why this that? When I watch movie, I watch. So therefore, I try to give my 100% to something, and it's my current philosophy, and I don't claim that it will not change. So right now, I am, yeah, too grateful too. I mean, too grateful in the positive way. I realize a lot of things in me that I have that I'm grateful for everyone who contributed to this. For example, through this podcast, I learned one thing, and I'm grateful for you for this and for everyone who is involved in this journey, right? For I mean, everything in this. It's a complex thing. So every day when I go home, I feel happy and I feel grateful for the things that I have. And I see a lot of people, I talk to them. And yeah, every single day, I also make sure it's not every single day, but it's very often that I make sure life is very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a lot to explore. And I'm grateful to be able to explore and to have a potential to explore and to have a vision to explore. And uh yeah, at the same time help people to make their lives easier, to talk to them, to share the stage of life with them. So
Mm-hmm.
that's my current life philosophy.
Right, right, right. Trying to make the most of every moment,
Yeah.
right? And be grateful. Count your blessings. Be grateful
Mm.
for what you have.
Yeah, I'm
Very
grateful
profound.
for the setbacks, I'm grateful for the problems,
Mm-hmm.
I'm grateful, I mean, everything,
Right.
everything. Yeah.
It, it, it is a really helpful mindset, honestly. Like realizing that things don't happen to you; they happen for you.
Yeah,
Right. That's so profound.
that would be very good conclusion of my philosophy.
Yeah, way of putting things. If you could travel back in time and talk to your younger self, what's one piece of advice you would give to him?
I would say I'm proud of you.
Uh huh.
uh, and I would say um, you're doing good.
Mm-hmm.
Love people.
Mm-hmm.
Love women.
Mm-hmm.
Believe in God.
Mm-hmm.
And um, I would say defend yourself in the way that don't make things too affecting for you.
Mm-hmm.
So things affect you. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
they might make you cry. They
Mm-hmm.
might make you happiest person on the moment, but don't get too much overhyped with these
Mm-hmm.
things.
Okay.
Yeah. But if I look at my childhood, I was almost the same way.
Mm-hmm.
So I was not too much happy. I was
Mm-hmm.
not too much. And I mean, family says you don't talk a lot at home. I don't talk a lot at home. I eat my food.
Mm-hmm.
If they ask something, I ask them some questions that I'm interested in, and I don't talk a lot, and I don't express my emotions a lot, and they see it as problem. Something like, hey, what is wrong with that? Do you don't want to share something with us, or we are boring, something like that? No, it is me simply, and I love them. I love them in my silence, right?
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, it's my like I am emotionally a bit unavailable for people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't express my emotions too much because I don't know why. I don't express my emotions too much. So,
Right.
and when we're shooting marketing videos,
Uh-huh.
people who shoot always say show
Uh-huh.
emotions, and I try to make up the things,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah,
I mean, it's fine. Just different people are wired
yeah.
differently, right? It's just some people like being mute. Some people like talking. They're a bit of a chatterbox.
So that
This
would
is
be
the
a philosophy.
right.
How about you? What's your
Okay,
philosophy?
we need another episode for that. A long one. A long one. I mean, I'm a keen observer.
Uh,
That's what I am, and a learner. That's and well, philosophy, like you said, it changes every day, right? I have some core beliefs and values that I'm in a way I hold on to because I really need them, right? Without which that you'd be lost, you'd be misguided. This world is like it's like an ocean with strong waves.
mm,
You're gonna get swept aside if you don't have those values and those beliefs that help you navigate your awareness world. But at the same time, don't be afraid to experiment,
mm,
try things here and there,
mm.
because you never know what's waiting for you on the other end.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Can I ask one more question?
yeah, for sure. Oh, yeah, 100%.
So, if it's not secret, what are the things that you did that are explored, tried, experimented that people seem as like
Mm-hmm.
uncommon
Mm-hmm.
or let's say not made for people, something like that?
Mm-hmm. Well, the biggest experiment I've pulled so far was on myself,
Mm,
which was um, cutting myself off from nearly all my acquaintances, friends, and relatives, and sort of confining myself in this English speaking environment that I've built myself over the
mm,
time, like the staff, the people who work here, even the media guy behind the camera. You speak English, right? Always English. it was this is a social experiment
mm,
because you are completely uh, depriving yourself of all social stimuli and while feeding yourself a different form of social stimuli. So it feels kind of weird a lot because you're trying to. So you're going from being a typical Uzbek, most Uzbek guy you can think of, to throwing yourself into a different environment and pretending to be someone you're not. At the same time, trying to convince yourself that you are that person is, it's it puts you in a state of constant uh, this self-doubt, disbelief, stress, and anxiety, and imposter syndrome, all those things
mm,
in one mixed cocktail, right? It's not nice. It's only now that I'm starting to become more okay with having that anxiety and realizing this is part of the learning process,
mm.
learning curve, or whatnot. But yeah, it's an experiment I pulled on myself. Don't try it, kids. you might lose friends, possibly your family, because there was one point, literally, my parents were ready to kick me out of the house. So yeah.
Do you
Anyway,
speak them in Uzbek?
my dad Uzbek, my mom Tajik.
Uh,
Yeah, but now they've become more accepting of the fact that I'm just the way I am, or maybe they're just tired because they're getting old, right? You don't have energy to argue with their kids anymore, so you just let them be. As long as they're out of trouble, they stay out of trouble. I guess that's the way I see it now. Anyway, so one last question for today, sir. This podcast is being watched by your future self. What is one message do you have for that guy? I'm guessing you're gonna come back and watch this podcast,
yeah.
or maybe 10 years from now. What's something you would say to
Mm,
that guy? Mm-hmm.
So I don't know that person
Mm-hmm.
yet, and I want to say that I will say now. I will say to the person
Your future
in
self.
13.
Because
Okay.
he's watching you right now.
Okay.
You want to say
I thought
hi.
that my future self will tell me something like that.
Yeah, what's something you would say to your future self?
Okay.
Because I'm assuming you'll be watching this podcast
Yeah.
when it's out, right? So that the guy who will be watching this podcast is your future self.
Yeah.
So what's something you'd say to that guy right now who's watching you?
I would say I'm grateful to be start of you,
Uh-huh.
to be in you, let's say, and I'm sorry for the decisions I make that I think you will not make after
Uh-huh.
10 years. I'm sorry for being a different person
Mm-hmm.
than you will be, I hope, and we're gonna see you in 10 years,
Yeah.
and I hope we're gonna have a very good time
Yeah.
together.
Right. Right.
And the best, I mean, non-negotiable thing for me I have is that I'm not gonna drink alcohol and smoke cigarette.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. Let's
Mhm.
see.
Yeah.
I will not absolutely say no,
Uh-huh.
but I am 99% on the against it.
Mhm.
So therefore, let's see what's gonna happen.
Mhm.
And I'm really sorry for the mistake, for the decisions I will make for you. And
Right.
yeah, and I'm grateful to be part of you. That's I would say.
Yeah. Right.
I don't regret. I don't put any expectations. You're good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll see how the future you will turn out and what he'll think of you. You know
Maybe
what?
we will not turn out.
Yeah. Yeah, you never know what the future holds. You're right.
Yeah.
All right. It was awesome having you on the show today. I can't thank you enough for coming all the way from Tashkent to be on this podcast and sharing with us all your insights, life stories, and opening up about your past and some tragic stories you had and all the challenges you encountered along the way. It means a lot to me. And I want to thank you on the behalf of our audience and our team here and everyone. And if there's anything I can do to repay this massive favor, you got my number. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
I want to say that you already paid what you gave me, what I gave you, right? So through this podcast, while I'm talking, I realized a lot of things. I learned more about you. I learned a lot about me too. I had these things on my mind, but I have never experienced it, telling it. So therefore, I'm really grateful for me, for you to make me think about the things that I haven't thought, and I hope everyone who is gonna be here and who was there will find themselves after 10 years unique and something. Yeah, I'm really grateful. I don't know how to thank you.
Yeah, it's mutual.
And it's been an amazing. So it's been about 2 hours and 20 minutes over, but it feels like it's 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So therefore, thank you.
What do I tell you? I'm telling this guy every time, the other guy, we need to go back to iPhones. I miss iPhone era, right?
Yeah,
Ever since we started using pro cameras, things been going crap, honestly.
That's a very good promo for Apple right now.
Right.
You might get to some extent put an advertisement of the iPhone 15 Pro.
Yeah, they should. Sponsorships, guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate
so
you.
Bukhara is amazing, by the way.
Thanks.
Thanks. Especially people. Yes, Bukhara's facilities are not great compared to Tashkent, but people make it special. People make it
Thanks. So warm, so kind of you to say that. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so
It
much.
was great. Hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast. If you liked our content, please don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe to our channel, and leave your comments in the comment section below. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.